Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Told you I would kind of get on if I was a little bit on the manic side, and I also said that I was going to make a video about depression, but since then some stuff has come up that made me change my mind pretty rapidly. I obtained my medical records from the hospital that I stayed in and was really surprised to read my diagnosis. And that's kind of what I want to discuss today. Now, I was aware that I have bipolar disorder. And I've talked about, me going into psychosis before. And I feel like I know a lot about bipolar disorder. And I was comfortable with using that knowledge to better manage my episodes. But one of the things that caught me by surprise was having schizoaffective disorder. That kind of blew my mind a little bit and prompted me to do a lot of research on it, as well as SAD, bipolar disorder, which is basically my moods come and kind of coincide with certain seasons. That also caught me by surprise, but it made sense. Now, today I'm mostly gonna focus on the schizoaffective disorder and share a little bit what I've learned about it. So, let me see. I forgot my pen, I'm gonna have to go get it. Okay, so schizoaffective disorder is a disorder that kind of brings schizophrenia and bipolar or another major mood disorder like depression, but it brings those two together in the middle, where you have symptoms of both your mood disorder and schizophrenia. I believe that I was in psychosis for an extended period of time, whereas now it's kind of classified as schizophrenic symptoms. I took notes. Let's see. Now, psychosis is present in both bipolar psychosis and schizophrenia. And basically what psychosis is disorganized thoughts and a disconnect from reality. It also causes a loss of function and a lack of insight on going through it. With schizophrenia, this can cause hallucinations, auditory specifically, where you hear things or even see things. Very rarely it creates tactile hallucinations, which is feeling like you have bugs crawling on your skin or a snake stuck in your stomach or extreme things like that. Also, with the psychosis in schizophrenia, you have delusions, which is something that I have experienced, and I'm pretty sure I've mentioned it at one point or another. Delusions consist of paranoia, feeling like you have certain powers or the messiah of your specific religion. And then you also have disorganized speech, where you speak and you're saying words similar to what you're trying to say, but none of it really makes sense. It's a cluster of just words that shouldn't go together to try and explain whatever point you're trying to get across. And the person experiencing this is unaware that their speech is bunched up and not making sense. They're completely unaware of it, and it makes them feel like what they hear themselves saying is what they intend to, but what they're actually saying is not. And psychosis and bipolar disorder, it's based off of your mood. Like if you go into a depressed psychosis, it will be depressing thoughts, delusions, and hallucinations. But if you go into a manic psychosis, everything is grand and big and just excitable or irritable. Like your delusions and hallucinations are on that side. Psychosis and schizophrenia also, you know, in bipolar disorder also includes the delusions, hallucinations, where you see, hear, what have you, believe certain things. But then there's also like a negative psychosis where you do less of everything. You're kind of just flat and you are withdrawn from people, and it's, you know, more like a severe depression. With both of them, psychosis is prominent, long lasting, even between mood changes. So that, what I'm trying to say is that where you have schizophrenia here, bipolar here, well, schizoaffective is right there in the middle, where you are having these delusions, these hallucinations, and schizophrenic symptoms. And the difference between that and psychosis is based off of your mood, whereas schizoaffective with bipolar disorder, these delusions and hallucinations can happen even when you're, you know, on the middle ground of your symptoms. You're not manic or depressed. Those symptoms can still be prevalent, which does make sense. I had never even heard of this. But very, very much so, my psychosis last year was still there through manic and depression. It was still there, and it was there when I was neither ends of the spectrum. And this go round, when I went to the hospital, I was still in those delusions. I still had those delusions, and I still, yesterday I had it brought up that I was like starting to get a little bit delusional, unaware. You know, I text a friend of mine that I asked if he was mad at me. I had just come to the conclusion that he was angry with me, and then after not getting an immediate response, I believed he blocked me, and he doesn't want me to ever contact him again, and he just got tired of my bullshit. And that wasn't the case. It really wasn't. And all it took was a little message saying, "You're doing that thing again." And I kind of snapped back and was like, yeah, I kind of am unaware. Another thing about my medical records that, you know, in a sense benefit me is to see somebody else's perspective of me. When I thought that I was extremely aware of, you know, I was extremely self-aware. I knew that something was going on in my brain. I knew that something was not right. I understood bipolar disorder, and that wasn't the case at all. Apparently, I kind of downplayed my hospital visit a lot. You know, I was not aware that I was in psychosis at the time. You know, the schizoaffective disorder, they were able to pinpoint that. I was unaware of certain delusions, and I wasn't, okay, I kind of did, like, I wasn't having full-on auditory hallucinations, but I kind of was. Like, when I was on my second day of not sleeping, I wanted to go, like, I was manic, really, really manic, and I wanted to go shopping. It was like 3 a.m. and I sat in my bed and I, like, auditorily argued with myself and fought with myself. You know, you're not gonna spend money. You're gonna put your card up and not go to Walmart at 3 a.m. There's nothing you need there at 3 a.m. And I would just go back and forth with myself and never really pinpointed that as, you know, a hallucination or anything. I wasn't seeing another person right there, but in hindsight, I was arguing with, you know, Manic Amber and Rational Amber were arguing with each other. Actually, like, out loud arguing with each other. So, yeah, now that I've, you know, gone past that a little bit, I see that. I understand why the doctors was like, yeah, you were going through this. I also saw very oftentimes they marked that I was withdrawn, not participating, that I was flat, and just avoiding contact, and sometimes I was even combative, apparently. I felt like I knew better, or I knew something, and I was gonna argue until I got my point across because I understand my condition, when in reality that whole table was just flipped over on me. I'm learning an entire new set, and a lot of it makes sense. You know, the fact that I was rapid cycling and having these mixed episodes, and still, like, there was chunks of delusions in there. There was certain things that I was delusional about. So I'm gonna spend a lot of time researching this. Look, I read those documents yesterday or day before, so I just started, you know, watching videos and reading, and I just really started digging into it. So there's a lot that I have to learn about it, and it kind of makes me feel like there are certain coping mechanisms that I need to readdress and maybe mold them into something a little bit better. I'm painting. Like, I am still out of work. I had an interview today, so that's probably like what kind of put me in this mania. I've been cleaning houses and doing my paintings. Haven't had much luck selling any of them, so I'm struggling with almost a delusion. Like, I am convincing myself that nobody wants my paintings and they're not worthy to even be sold, or I'm asking way too much money. Like, I'm over analyzing it and over criticizing it, which is, I wouldn't say delusional, because I am aware of it. Like, at the moment those thoughts cross my mind, no, I'm not aware of anything. But after given a certain amount of time, I do a lot of self-reflecting at night, and that's one of the bigger things that keeps, like, coming up, is that a lot of self-doubt and self-worth questioning. So I you know, upon reflection, I'm able to pinpoint, yeah, you were being irrational at this point in time. So that's kind of like, not that I can do anything about it, but at least I'm aware that I'm having those thoughts and conversations with myself. The painting thing is, like, it's keeping me busy, it's keeping me occupied. Whether I sell them or not, my house is turning into a damn art gallery. So that also, I'm gonna touch on the SAD, S-A-D, bipolar disorder. You know, with it being, my mood swings being relative to seasons, I have to admit, like, around December or so, November, December, I was a little bit more depressed. And during the spring going into summer mania, like I've already said a dozen times, actually it would be spring, summer, and autumn, I'm manic for the most part. I have, you know, you guys were aware that I had a depressed episode, and I'm still kind of mixed, because, like, every now and again I'll feel like, fuck this, I'm sad, I'm gonna lay in my bed and go to sleep. This right here is me manic. This is my thoughts are racing, I'm saying a lot, so this is my prominent one, and I don't exactly hate it, as long as I'm not going to destroy my life and spend all my money that I don't have right now because I'm not working. So this is a productive outlet for me when I'm manic. I'm able to, like, turn around and watch this after I'm done and see how erratic and silly I am, trying to have actual like discussion with you guys. I would really like if you guys would drop a comment below, and like with questions and stuff. I need to stimulate my mind and know exactly what to research, because all the research thoughts are like mashed together and not really making sense in my head, and I start off watching one video, and then that leads to another, and I go from researching schizoaffective disorder to watching funny cat videos. My brain is everywhere. So if you guys give me something specific to look into, that'll be great. Any questions, whether you are bipolar or not, maybe you're the spouse of somebody who is bipolar, or maybe you have been diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder as well, and you can lend me some information, or anything that I can just look and read, and because basically all that I've come to terms with, and the information that I gathered, is bipolar here, schizophrenic here, Amber here, in the middle. I get both of them, which, by the way, makes relationships hell. Okay. I do plan on talking about relationships in bipolar disorder, but now I can add it with schizoaffective disorder, and it does make so much more make sense. Like my relationships last year, and like the spiraling out of control, even with friends, just the irrational, erratic behavior and delusions that, you know, I've proven to myself were actual delusions, because I felt like they weren't. I felt very, very real. But opening up and conversing with friends and family and significant other, that all helped me to pinpoint, yeah, this could have been so much better if you didn't think that this was going on. If you weren't convinced that you were being followed or stalked, or if you weren't convinced that such and such had this going on. Like a lot of that, you know, it helped. And hearing the word schizoaffective disorder, I was in immediate panic. Like, I'm not schizophrenic. I'm not. But I Googled it, and they are different, because with schizoaffective disorder, you get some schizophrenic symptoms. And you also have your bipolar symptoms, but when they overlap, and then when you are calm and in that neutral area, you're still having these delusions, that's when you realize, that's when you're told that you have schizoaffective disorder. Woohoo! I'm just gonna add another list to my mental disabilities. But it gives me something else to talk about, so of course, I'm gonna like discuss it, and I really would appreciate it if you would put questions at the bottom, because I probably don't have the answer to it. So I'm gonna like engage myself and look into it and like dig real deep to understand it, and understand how my magnificent badass mind works. It's really not magnificent. It's like detrimental. But, you know, I'm a bipolar badass. So I'll just take it with my little cup of tea and go wherever my mood or delusion takes me. I guess I can, because I'm like already on a tangent and running. Depression. Like my depressed episode, thank God, was not as bad as prior ones that I had, and I'm guessing that's because I'm on proper medication now. It did make it. I didn't want to do anything. I did lay in bed a lot, binge watch Netflix, but I stayed productive. Like I made this little desk thing, and I painted several paintings. Now I'm out of canvases, and I'm having withdrawals because I like keep having these ideas of stuff that I can paint. Anyways, so I also found myself like eating a lot less. Unfortunately, my medication has the side effect of weight gain, so it doesn't matter how little or how less I eat. I seem to be gaining more weight, and that I do have a problem with, which is going to encourage me. I work out but it's encouraging me to like pump it up a couple steps and check labels when I eat something. Don't go buy a bag of Oreos and eat the whole fucking thing in a sitting. So it's encouraging me to like stay on top of my physical health as well as my mental health, because they kind of go hand in hand together. So I'm guessing I think this will like conclude my video, because I am going much faster than normal. And I'm kind of like getting off topic. You know, I plan to just speak on schizoaffective disorder and not depression. I wanted to save that for a later video. So I'm kind of just rolling along, and everything is merging together. The thoughts are merging together. I don't think it's a good idea that I make this much longer. So like, subscribe, and hit the little bell thingy at the bottom to be notified when I post a new video. Bye-bye, bipolar badasses.